So, I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. We just recorded what I think is one of the best reviews we have ever done. And then I checked, I didn't turn the microphone on. So all of that was gone. It was just like 30 minutes of me just... that was it.
To be fair, you were rambling a bit, so maybe it was best.
I always ramble. That's my MO. That's my go-to move in these reviews. Hey everyone, it's Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
And this is our post-Geekout reaction for Season 1 of The Mandalorian. Now, we already did a post-Geekout reaction for this entire season, and as I said, the sound wasn't on. But we did one that you guys got to watch that was for the first 2 episodes, and we really enjoyed those first 2 episodes. But I've been following what everyone's been saying about this show as every single episode has gone along. I saw that after episode 3, when they ended up leaving the planet, and he just sort of became a series of episodes all about the Mandalorian going on weird one-off side adventures, I saw a lot of people going, oh, I'm losing interest in this show stinks now, oh, they ruined this show, oh, I don't want to watch this show anymore, oh, I don't care anymore. I don't know what any of you people are talking about. I love this show the entire way through.
Me too.
I do understand, though, people not enjoying those middle 3 or 4 episodes as much as the first part of the season and the end of the season, because those middle 3 episodes, they were different. The beginning of this series had an arc. It had a path. The end of this was the conclusion of that path. The middle 3 episodes were random one-off adventures with the Mandalorian, but I actually 100% got behind that. Because I looked at that, and I looked at how the Mandalorian was before those episodes, and I went, oh, it's a Western. Like we said that in those first 2 episodes, this is 100% a Western. And when it got to those 3 episodes in the middle, I went, oh, these are all Western tropes. These are all absolutely just Western tropes. These are just every single thing that you would expect to find in a Western, and they just decided to dedicate an entire episode to it. And I look at it kind of the same way that a lot of people looked at The Force Awakens, and a lot of people criticize The Force Awakens, and heck, I even criticize The Force Awakens for just sort of being Star Wars A New Hope all over again, just copying and pasting that. But the defense that a lot of people made, and I believe I even made this defense, was, yeah, but, you know, Star Wars hasn't exactly been Star Wars for a long time now, so they had to come in here and remind everyone of what Star Wars was. I look at those middle 3 episodes as the people behind this show coming in here and going, yes, it is a Western in space, so we're going to have 3 episodes here just to let you guys know, we know what a Western in space looks like. We're just going to grab every single thing from the Western genre and give each thing its own episode. Like the stranger rolls into town and he finds a widow who her town is being overrun by outlaws, and now he has to step in there and do something about that. And the widow has a mysterious past, which that was another thing where I saw people going, oh yeah, they had this one random character come in there and she just suddenly knew how to shoot with no explanation. It was like, A, it's Star Wars. Every character in Star Wars does things for random reasons because they have a mysterious backstory that gets fleshed out in the expanded lore. That's just how Star Wars works, and we'll get into that in a second. But also, that's the Western trope. The widow who has a mysterious backstory, and suddenly, and for some reason, she knows how to shoot because of something that had to do with probably her husband, probably the reason why she is a widow. Yeah, that is just a random trope. I'm sorry, that's not random. I keep saying random too much. That is a common trope when it comes to Westerns. But then, like, the next episode after that, you know, Mandalorian, he's the old outlaw, the old bounty hunter. Then he meets the new, young, hotshot gunslinger. That is another old trope when it comes to Westerns. The outlaw, the gunslinger, who's got a bad past, and then he meets up with some of his friends from the bad old days. And then there's other guys out there like, yeah, you ain't so tough. I'm the new hotshot bad guy here. Yeah, that's what we got in the next episode after that. Like, these are all Western tropes, and I love that. And there's something that we talked about, again, in the stuff that got deleted. But you were mentioning to me something that happened this season, and you said, like, yeah, as soon as he talked about this, I knew this was going to happen. And that's kind of what Star Wars is. Star Wars is not a series that reinvents the wheel, it just does really fascinating things with the wheel. Because Star Wars, the original Star Wars, like you can look at that and go, oh, it's so inventive, it's so creative. But the story of it, it's the hero's journey. It's the oldest goddamn story in the history of storytelling. It's everything that we know from the history of building up heroes. And they just took that and put it in a new setting with new interesting characters and a lot of imagination behind it. Made it interesting. They just added a bunch of spices to an old dish that we've been eating our entire lives. That's what The Mandalorian was. It was a lot of tropes that we knew them from Westerns. They did really fascinating things with them. They put them in the Star Wars universe, and they worked perfectly. But again, I am rambling. How did you feel about this season?
Well, I really did enjoy it. I felt like it was a very good beginning to like a longer series because at the time we weren't sure if there was going to be like a second season, but like after watching the final episode of the first one, it's like there's got to be more, right?
Yeah, which going into the final episode, I was like, oh yeah, this is a one and done season. They're not going to keep this series going because there's so many stories to tell in Star Wars that we're just going to get a bunch of like random one-off seasons of different Star Wars stories. But the morning that this episode came out, they confirmed online, yes, there is going to be a season 2. It's coming out fall of next year. And so I knew that going into the final episode, and I'm kind of bummed that I knew that going into the final episode because full spoilers on display right now. Like, if you have not seen the show, tune out now. But I really wish that they had waited a week to tell everyone that there was going to be a season 2. Because, yes, there are massive cliffhangers at the end of this, so there needs to be a season 2, but I remember when I was watching the last episode, as I said, this show, it just follows all these Western tropes. It's all these tropes that we know from Westerns, and also a dash of samurai films in there. I mean, that episode about him roaming into town and finding a widow who's being burdened by all these outlaws, that's also kind of Seven Samurai, and also Star Wars. It takes a lot, not just from Westerns, but also from samurai films. But a famous trope of Westerns is the hero dies. And there comes that moment where the Mandalorian is there on the table, and he's injured, and he's just saying, no, I'm not going to make it. And you know I'm not going to make it. And you know I'm just going to slow you down. Take the kid and get out of here. That's your only chance. You got to promise me that you're going to keep that kid safe. If it were not for the fact that I knew there was a season 2 coming, I would have looked at that and just went, oh, he's dead. They just shamed him. 100%. Like, Baby Yoda is going to be staring out at Mandalorian, riding off into the distance going, Mando! Mando! That is a deep cut for anybody who doesn't know Westerns. I 100% thought that he was just going to die.
But because you knew that there was going to be a second season,
I was like, all right, how are you pulling yourself out
like,
of this one?
when we were watching this episode, you turned to me and said, if Yoda doesn't save him, he's a dick. Like,
yes. Which, that was the thing that was going through my head the entire time. I was like, we already know that that Baby Yoda, that's the spin-off series. That Baby Yoda can heal. We already know that he can heal. So we know that Baby Yoda is going to go up there and heal the Mandalorian. But then that stormtrooper burst in with the flamethrower, and Baby Yoda used all of his powers to push the flames back on, which there's some theories we're going to get into about Baby Yoda that a lot of people have been throwing around. But he uses all of his powers to push the flames back onto the stormtrooper, and then he just passes out and went, oh, Baby Yoda is off the table. Oh, again, I know season 2's coming, but what season 2 gonna be? Is Gina Carano going to like pick up his helmet and take that? And now she's the Mandalorian? Is Baby Yoda going to be the new Mandalorian? Or I don't know, is this going to be a thing where they get out of there, they escape the planet, and then the entire bar just explodes, and then the final shot is the Mandalorian's glove coming out and pulling himself out of the wreckage? What's going to happen here? Of course, none of those things happen.
No.
I'm fine though with what did happen.
Yeah.
Well, kind of. I do. Okay. So what happens there at the end? And we're going to get into like episode by episode, but we're already here talking about the end, and that's what's freshest in everybody's mind. So we're going to go into that. What happens at the end is that the droid they teamed up with at the beginning,
got reprogrammed.
Got reprogrammed to now be a nurse bot, and his one primary function is to look after baby Yoda and make sure that the child is kept safe. And he now comes up there and he decides to try and help the Mandalorian. And the Mandalorian keeps saying, no, don't take my helmet off. It goes against the code. No living being can see me with my helmet off. And then he just goes, but I am not a living being. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah.
Like, I actually got kind of like chills at that. Like, oh, God. That line is set up too goddamn well. That is like watching like a game of pool where the billiards just line up just right. It's like, God damn it, man. You were about to sink this thing so well. And I love that. Okay. The thing that I didn't love, before we get into the thing that I do love, the thing that I didn't really love is that when he takes the helmet off, we did see his face. I really wish that we hadn't. I really wish that they had shot that thing with like, you know, maybe just shoot the Mandalorian from like here down so we see the helmet come off. We maybe see the bomb of his jaw.
Or like we see like an over-the-shoulder shot with...
Yeah, because he's on this big table. Maybe we shoot from behind so like the table's here and then you got like the droid's head is like where I am. So you see the droid looking down at him as he pulls the helmet off. Yeah, I really wish we had not seen his face.
I kind of glad that they showed his face. That made it feel like he was more vulnerable and more human.
Interesting. Yeah, because when they took it off, like, I was expecting scars or burns or something. No, he's just a normal guy, but he's a normal guy that looks scared and like he's had the crap kicked out of him.
Yeah, and also, like, this was the part where he had to, like, finally confront his hatred of droids.
Yeah, true.
Overcome that.
I gotta bring that up real quick. As soon as I was done watching the final episode, I went on Twitter. I just went, so did we ever learn why he hated droids? And within seconds, like literally within 5 seconds after I hit post, someone replied, they killed his parents. And I just deleted that tweet and I went, oh yeah, I'm an idiot. Oh, well, how did I not think about that? Because it was one of those things where I just kept looking at it going, yeah, the Empire killed his parents. It was the Empire. The Empire killed his parents. I never thought about the fact, oh yeah, the Empire used droids to kill his parents. It's like going, yeah, Batman hates muggers, but why does he hate guns so much? I don't understand. A mugger killed his parents. I don't understand why he has a problem with guns. That just doesn't make any sense to me. He's like, oh yeah, duh. Wow. Is one of the time, it's like the quickest I've ever realized I was a moron. I have no idea why there was just a mental blockade just preventing me from like connecting these two. It's like having a puzzle piece that is just the last puzzle piece on big picture and it fits perfectly, but I've got to spin to the right and I'm just like, I don't know why this won't. It's not going in for some reason. Just somebody comes over. Oh God. Yeah, I have no idea why I just couldn't make that connection. But yeah, you're right. He had to finally confront his hatred of droids, and that led into the next moment right after that, where they have to get on the little canal that's going through lava.
Yeah.
And there's just a droid that pops up out of like ash. And you're trying to be a regular R2 unit. It's an R2 unit with legs and arms and like a gondola guy.
Yeah, like basically he's like the rower for the boat.
Yeah, he's the rower for the boat, but when you look at this, like I'm comparing it to a gondola. But it's clear, it's not a gondola. This is the river Styx they're going down. They're going down the river of death is what they're going down. It's like, literally, if they step out of this boat, they die.
Yeah, because you're floating on lava.
You're floating on lava, which was a great set piece. But yeah, I love that the mythology in here just got weird all of a sudden. Like, literally, there is a river Styx. Like, I was expecting them to even pay him with, like, a couple of coins or something. Maybe they did, and I just had my head turned when it happened. But yeah, I love that they put that in there. God, what is the boatman for the river Styx? It is going to drive me nuts. It's like Charon or something, I think it's called. But yeah, like, I love that is just a thing in the Star Wars universe now. So you get that sequence, and then they see that there's a bunch of stormtroopers just waiting for them at the end of this tunnel. And then the droid decides he's going to sacrifice himself. And when that was happening, the cold lizard brain in my head looked at that and went, well, this doesn't really mean anything because he was reprogrammed. It's not like the droid learned to care about people. It's not like the droid sacrificed himself because he learned it was the right thing to do at this moment. He was reprogrammed to do this main thing. And then the mammalian and the primate brain inside me beat the shit out of the lizard brain and said, shut the fuck up. this is really important and it's really good.
Yeah, it's not about the droid getting character development. It's about Mando getting.
It's about Mando getting that development, and that is why that moment works so well. Is because, and I apologize because I do not remember, like, I can either remember actor names or character names. I can't remember both, so I remember the Mandalorian. Wait, is it Pedro Pascal? Is that the character's name? It's 2 P's, I know that. Whatever. Yeah, but it was in that moment, he sold the crap out of that. Like, I mentioned that this thing, it seemed like it was going to have the Mando die, and I made that joke a moment ago about, is this thing going to end with Baby Yoda pulling a Shane? Of just being that kid out there on the front porch of, no, don't go, Shane! Come back, Shane! Like, is that what's going to happen? And we didn't get that with Baby Yoda. We got it with the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian was like, no, Taika Waititi droid, don't go. Come back. Which, how weird is it that that's Taika Waititi? By the way, he directed that final episode, and when I heard he was going to direct the final episode, I went, oh, so this is going to be a super jokey episode. And the thing starts off with the 2 super jokey stormtroopers, which I love seeing the stormtroopers not just being, yes, Commander, yes, all right, we're going to do that. I love seeing that the stormtroopers are actual human beings and actual kind of just dumbasses. Yeah. I love that, which I think Jason Sudeikis was actually one of them. Somebody mentioned that he was in the final episode, and I went, that's the only person he could possibly have been. But the scene of them having to just, like, they're waiting, like, I'm just going to shoot this tin can. Blam! And we see the angle they're firing at, and the blast is nowhere even close to where they're aiming. And I love that they actually examine their guns, and I went, oh, please tell me this is like, oh, really? Like, I know what you're doing. You're making a joke about how stormtroopers can't aim. Which, I love that that's not the first time they even make the joke about that. In episode 6, there's that moment in which Mando is meeting his old pal from the bad old days, and he's introducing him to the new guy running things, and he goes, yeah, used to be a real sharpshooter. Used to work for the Empire. Well, that's not really saying much. I wasn't a stormtrooper. Like, everybody in the universe knows stormtroopers are bad shots. But I love that moment because it makes me kind of go, are you also trying to make, like, a statement about, like, the Empire cheaped out on the weapons? Like, is that what you're trying to, like, all the money had to go into the Death Star?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, all the time and money went into the Death Star, so, like, they didn't really have any time to train.
Like, they got guns that were discounted because the crosshairs were way off.
Guns, they didn't have, like, the time to, like, train the stormtroopers.
Oh, yeah, because that's the other thing about this. You know they can't train all those stormtroopers because, I mean, when you look at everybody who's willing to sign up for Space Hitler Camp, you know so many of them are just idiots. You know, so many of them are just people who's like, yeah, I want to feel like a big man. It's like, well, okay, maybe you feel that way because you're a complete incompetent douche, but all right. Yeah, I love that entire sequence in there. But I looked at that and I went, okay, this is the Taika Waititi episode. It's going to be full of jokey stuff. And that was like the last joke we got. Everything after that was so goddamn serious. And I love that because it let me know.
But it fit. It really did.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But let me know, Taika Waititi can do range. Which, by the way, I don't even think he's the best director that this season got. Because there's one person, it's Jin, oh god, I can't remember her name. Because again, I can't remember names. But she directed episode 7 and episode 3. And episode 8 is amazing. I absolutely liked episode 7 a little bit more. And episode 3 was probably like maybe my 3rd favorite episode of the season. So like my favorite episodes were episode 7, episode 8, episode 3. So whoever it was that directed episode 7 and episode 3, I was really impressed with. I found out she's going to be the showrunner for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series that's going on Disney+. I am so looking forward to that series. Yeah, man, this entire series got me, I gotta say it, after Rise of the Skywalker, it is incredible how I just went from, I'm done with Star Wars and man, I just need a break and I don't want any more. Ooh, Mandalorian, give me some more Star Wars. Yeah. Yeah, this has been a roller coaster.
Yeah, it's like I said with the Rise of Skywalker reviews, like, I think we're all just done with the main storyline and we just want more of, like, the backstory of the other characters.
That's the thing, like, I wasn't really that big a fan of Solo. I didn't think that was all that good, but Rogue One, great. Mandalorian, great. A lot of the random characters they've created for the comics, great. Keep giving me more stuff. Like, keep giving me more stuff, but just expand that shit out. Like, Skywalker's done. Done. Leave that stuff alone. And also, let's be real, there's a ton of emotional baggage when it goes into anything involving the old trilogies.
Yeah.
Because everybody's like, well, this is my childhood, and this is what it should have been, this is this, and I can compare this to all the others, and blah, 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 blah. Give me new goddamn characters, give me new stuff in here, because that stuff no one can compare anything to. And I kept looking at this thing, just thinking, like, man, if, like, you reveal, like, I don't know, that the old characters were tied into this in some way, all of a sudden that would have brought so much baggage into all this crap and everything. And yeah, people would have been now throwing out their own complaints about this time. Yeah, we didn't need any of that. It was so good to just get this.
Yeah.
Just get this thing. So yeah, I hope that we get more of that. And like I said, she's got me doing the Obi-Wan show. But I feel like the Obi-Wan show, like there's a big gap that happened in Obi-Wan's life there that we don't know anything about, but we know that, you know, it was a dark time for him, so I feel like you can go in there and kind of do whatever you want during that show, and it's gonna be fine. So I have a lot more excitement for that. But let's go ahead and let's start talking about anything else in the final episode. Oh, no, there was one other big thing that we have to talk about in the final episode. Again, I can't remember people's names, but Gus from Breaking Bad appears there, and he's the guy who like was responsible for just burning Mando's village to the ground when he was a kid, and he's got backstories with I believe her character's name is Cara Dune. It's Gina Carano, but he's got backstory with her. He's that guy that gets revealed to go, I was behind this the entire time, which was a little too convenient for me, like just a little too convenient that, oh, the guy you were working this mission for here, and the guy who won Baby Yoda was also a guy that had a lot of personal backstory with you. It was like, a little bit too convenient, but it's fine, whatever. It's not so out there that I have to really care about that much. I can keep going with it. But there at the end, listen, I never watched any of the animated Star Wars things, but I know they're pretty good. I've heard pretty good stuff about the Clone Wars cartoon and the Rebels cartoon. But at the end of this thing, you see his ship has come down. There are all these Jawas around there. And all of a sudden, he just starts burning his way out of this thing. And he's holding a black lightsaber. And not just a black lightsaber, but like a black lightsaber that's got like an actual edge to it.
Yeah.
Like it's like a blade.
It's more like a cutlass or something like that. Or like,
I saw, before I even saw the episode, I saw on Twitter, Darksaber was trending. And I went, I have no idea what that is. But I'm not going to click on it because it's probably a Star Wars thing. And then as soon as that popped up at the end, I went, oh, that's the Darksaber. Okay, and then I did a brief amount of research on it afterwards. Like, not a whole lot, but apparently it was a thing from the old cartoon. But apparently it was made by one of the first Mandalorians. And it was a Mandalorian who teamed up with the Jedis. And at the end of this whole thing, you've got that badass Smith. The badass armory person there, who I kept wanting to know more about them. I want to know her backstory.
Yeah.
Because she's got like Dark Souls armor on this entire time. She comes in here and goes, ah yes, it can move things with their mind. There used to be legends of such things. They were enemies of the Mandalorians. This thing is an enemy? No. In the past they were, but that thing is innocent. That thing is your foundling. I love that at the end of this, they just go, oh yeah, you know that thing that you were to another Mandalorian at one time? That's now it to you.
Yeah.
I love that.
Baby Yoda's a foundling.
Yes.
You're his father now until you can find his species.
Oh, I saw a piece of fan art that was Mandalorian going up to not old Luke Skywalker, but in between Last Jedi and in between Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker. And young Ben Solo, and he just went, I need a teacher. I went, I'm not saying I want that to happen, but it'd be pretty dope. Man, there's theories about Baby Yoda I want to get into right now, but we're gonna finish talking about this. But yeah, I was looking this up, and I was just thinking about that speech that the blacksmith was making about how, yeah, the Jedis used to be enemies with the Mandalorians, and now he's got this saber that was made by one of the first Mandalorians that was made for the Jedis, and like, oh, how is all this gonna tie together? Oh, man, like, I was never one of the big Star Wars lore guys. I was like, if it's in the movies, I'll pay attention. I never go into the expanding universe stuff. I am so fascinated right now. I am on board with this thing. I'm going to check and make sure the microphone's still going. Yes, good. Because, like I said, we talked for like 30, 40 minutes last time, only to go, oh, god damn it, there's nothing in here. So yeah, I am so fascinated by where this could possibly go. Because what you got here is a Mandalorian who just found out that the Jedis and the Mandalorians were enemies, and now he's raising a young Jedi, and the guy hunting him down is someone who stole the weapon made by the first Mandalorian who made it for the Jedi. There is so much crisscrossing storytelling going on right here. Man, I'm excited. Okay, sorry. Anything else to say about the final episode? Before we start going back and talking about like individual characters, individual episodes in there.
Well, like I said before, this entire series, like this first season, is like a great kickoff to like these series in general. Like.
Yes. Which I don't even remember if I said it at this point, but that's another reason why I didn't really have a problem with the fact that there were those 3 episodes in the middle that were just kind of all over the place, because every single episode showed a different side of the Mandalorian. Yeah. And I feel like that was them doing character building, where they were going, all right, in this season, we're going to show you the Mandalorian in different situations and how he would react in those different situations. So now you get all the sides of the Mandalorian. So now, next season, we don't have to do that because you already know how Mandalorian is in various situations. We can just tell this straight story from here to there. Yeah. And now you know everything that you need to know about the Mandalorian. So yeah, for me, again, that's another reason why the just 3 random episodes in there absolutely worked for me. Oh yeah, also Mandalorian got the jetpack that he wanted in episode 3. Which I like that he doesn't fully know how to use it just yet, but it's another one of those things where I always talk about how I have problems with Deus Ex Machina, when like an answer and a solution just comes out of nowhere. But this wasn't that. Yes, he did just kind of get this out of nowhere, but it was set up earlier on. There are Mandalorians who use it, and they did come in here and go, yeah, you train with these people. Yeah? Well, then this is yours now.
Also, the Mandalorian that rescued him had the jetpack.
Yeah, so. Exactly. But, I mean, like she even goes, like, the whole structure of how the Mandalorians work, it is very much kind of like a heritage thing. Like, we teach this from here to here to here to here, from this part to this part to this part. And she comes in and goes, yeah, you worked alongside them? Well, they ain't here anymore, so now it's yours. I like that. I like that so much. Goddamn, I really want to know more about that blacksmith. I keep talking about how they come in here and one thing that Star Wars does is they give these characters spin-off stories. That is a character that I absolutely want spin-off stories for. Oh my god, I just realized what I want to see come up in Season 2. Like, the thing that would make all Star Wars fans' heads explode. There is a character in the comics that got created for the comics, and she became a huge sensation. Like, she was created for the Darth Vader comics just to be like this side character that Darth Vader hired because he was like, I need to do some things that the Empire doesn't know, so you can work off the books as part of my secret team. And she was so beloved by the fans, they gave her own book. And it went for like 50 goddamn issues. In a day and age where a character barely can get 12 issues. She was a huge success. And all those issues happened like in between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. And Mandalorian is happening right after Return of the Jedi, which is only like 2 years after all this. Everybody out there who's a Star Wars fan knows exactly what I'm talking about. Dr. Aphra. Mandalorian, he's gonna have to do some shady stuff. He's gonna have to do some secret stuff. He's gonna have to do some sneaking around. Dr. Aphra is perfect for that. I want to see her pop up in the next season. Because she deserves to finally be in like the actual physical medium, not just in the comics. But okay, let's talk about some of the other episodes in there. Because, like I said, there were the 3 random episodes in there where it just goes from place to place to place. I think one of the reasons why I enjoy them so much is because I really enjoyed that first episode they got. It was kind of a tonal shift. I think a lot of people have a problem with the fact that it was such a tonal shift, but I dug it because, to me, the thing that saved the 3 episodes in there, it wasn't just that I saw what they were doing, how they were trying to have like each episode be a different style of Western, but they were also trying to introduce new characters. And I have mentioned this several times before. Star Wars, it is, like, basically the entire appeal of Star Wars is that random character at a bar has a massive backstory to them and can exist in their own thing completely separate over there. And that's something that has carried Star Wars for generations now. I mean, back when Lucas wasn't making anything new, the expanded universe is what kept Star Wars alive, and all the expanded universe was, hey, know that guy who was briefly mentioned? Know that little weird bat creature that was hanging out at the bar in the first episode? Here's a comic about him. Here's a fan film about them. Here's an entire lore that people just wrote up on Wikipedia for him. But
did you say Wikipedia or Wikipedia?
It's called Wikipedia, the actual official Star Wars thing. Yeah. But so I've always kind of found that fascinating. But I honestly think that the way that Disney has been doing it so far has kind of been not great. In Rise of Skywalker, it was kind of okay because all the new characters they introduced who clearly had massive backstories. There were backstories that were tied into other pre-existing characters, so it would kind of make sense for them to be there, like the one that Poe knew, or the character who used to be a stormtrooper as well. It's like, okay, well that ties into Finn's journey, and okay, so that's not bad, but you are still just randomly coming in here and going, oh, this character, find out more about them in this thing over here. But the one that really got me was in The Last Jedi, when they got thrown into the prison cell, and then DJ just popped up, and just goes, oh, well, I just happen to know all the stuff that you guys need to know, and I can get you guys out here, and I'm going to take you here, and then totally betray you, because I've got my own thing going on. Bye, everybody. And I just looked at that and went, who the hell are you? Why are you here? Why do you have all the answers to everything? And I just looked at that and went, are you about to get a comic? Are you set up just so that you can have a comic? And then sure enough, a few months later, that dude had a comic. That just it all led up to why he was in the prison cell there in Last Jedi. I went, if it doesn't happen in the movies, it's not part of the storytelling. Like, expanded universe is expanded. It's giving more stuff. It's not explaining why something is where it is. Like, it just drove me nuts in Last Jedi when that happened. But in here, I thought it worked excellently. Because again, these were 3 random episodes in which you would come in here, and it was basically meant to be the trope in westerns of the gunman wanders into this new town. That new town has its own problems. That's what we got, especially in that first episode there, and the one where he goes and meets the old widow. Not the old widow, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But, which I don't even know if I already talked about this yet in this review, or if it was in the one that ended up getting deleted, but I saw so many people coming in here and going, oh, so this widow can just suddenly fire a gun? Oh, how convenient. Oh, there's only one person in town who knows how to fire a gun, and it's the widow. Oh, I see how it is. Yeah, because that's how westerns work. Like, the trope of the gunslinger wanders into town, finds a widow, and that widow just happens to be the one person in town who's really good with a gun because she's been dealing with all these outlaws, and maybe because of something that happened with her husband. That's a big mystery. That is an old trope of westerns. Also, when you combine that old trope of westerns with Star Wars being a brand of films where, as I said, the entire idea behind it is every character's got a big mysterious backstory, it works way too well. It's great. But I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about Gina Carano's character. Which, again, I think her name was Cara Dune, but I'm just going to keep calling her Gina Carano because I cannot remember. Peach, stop licking me. You won't let me keep licking you. Yes. Our own little baby Yoda. All right, so, sorry, I got distracted by how cute this dog is. But yeah, I flippin' love her character. Her character, she's a badass, she's charismatic, and I'm just glad to see Gina Carano getting work again, because I remember I saw her in Haywire, like, 7 years ago, and I remember thinking, she's not the best actress, but in terms of fighters becoming actors, she's heads and shoulders above all of them. Because most fighters who become actors, it takes a long-ass time for them to actually learn how to start acting. This was like her first film, and she was actually pretty decent in it. And I went, you know, if she can keep getting work, then she can definitely keep improving. And I definitely prefer seeing fighters become actors to actors becoming fighters, because then you don't have to do a lot of random cuts to try and make it look like the actor actually does know what they're doing. Listen, I love the Marvel films, but I will gladly admit, none of those people who do hand-to-hand fighting in those films actually know how to do hand-to-hand fighting. It's real obvious from the insane number of cuts. But I was watching Haywire just going, oh, she's a pretty good actress. And they're not cutting away from these action scenes. Like, she is actually kicking a lot of ass in there. Yeah, man, let's see if she can actually go and become something. And then she was in a bunch of random stuff, but never anything big. Like, she was the mindless, like, she was like the voiceless muscle for the bad guy in Deadpool. She was in one of the Fast and Furious, I want to say, but I don't think she was anything big in that one. So yeah, she has not really had a big career since then, but I've kept wanting her to come back in something. She was great in this. And she had become a way better actress. So I kept looking at her character the entire time just going, yeah, this. Like, give me way more of this character. When she popped back up at the end, I was so happy about that. Because, yeah, she's so incredibly charming in that character. Her character is so interesting, has such a good backstory to her because this idea that she was a rebel shock trooper. And we mentioned with those first couple of episodes, okay, the Empire has fallen, but there's still all these stormtroopers around. Yeah, because when you take out the big evil bad guy, but they were employing hundreds of thousands of minions, some of those minions were just like, oh, I did this just to get college experience. I'm sorry, I didn't know that you were actually the bad guys. I didn't know this. But there's a lot of other people who sign up to work for the bad guys because they know they're the bad guys. And they enjoy being the bad guys. And those guys just don't go away. So I love that we got to see what happened to those guys. And yeah, they become mercenaries. They become like just thugs working for gang leaders. I love seeing what happened to them. But when she popped up, it raised the question of, yeah, what happens to the rebels when there's nothing to rebel against anymore? I guess I'll just go and become, my own bounty hunter, my own hired gun. We got to see what happened to her. But also, I think they did with her the perfect job of setting up that idea of the expanded story. Because not only is it like, all right, what was your origin story? You were a rebel shock trooper. We could definitely see those adventures. But then there comes a moment when he goes, maybe you can come and help me along with this thing. And she goes, after I was a rebel, I kind of got involved in some other stuff, so I can't really show my face around there anymore. Oh, that's the comic. That's the comic you're going to give her. All right, we all know this now. All right, cool. I see it now. But that was it. That did not affect the main story any more than it had to. That wasn't like just a random thing that popped up. Like, no person from just the old days popped up into it. Oh yeah, remember that thing that I mentioned? It's that guy over there, and they just overtake the entire story for a little bit. No, it was that beautiful little bit of a hint of, hey, here's that story she's going to have. But I'm here now for this story, and it makes sense for me to be in this story. I'm going to be here for this story. Also, she is that trope of the other badass. I don't know if that's the actual term for the trope, but you guys know what I'm talking about, where you're following one badass on their story. And then there also happens to be another, like, when the immovable object meets the unstoppable force. When that other person out there who just happens to be an equal level of badass on their own equal journey just happens to bump into them. We see that a lot in these types of stories, especially in space stories, because the universe is a big place. I love seeing her pop up for this. I thought that she did a wonderful job with that. Also, I'm just going to throw this out there. I would love to see Cara Dune or Gina Carano end up getting her own spin-off series on this. But I also love that she is still insanely buff, which I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. But I mean, like, there's that moment there at the end where she is picking up the Gatling gun. I just went, that's one of the most badass things I've seen in this entire show. Because she looked like somebody who could just pick up a Gatling gun. Yeah, Gina Carano, she used to be an American Gladiator. She used to be an MMA fighter. So when you think about the fact that an MMA fighter is actually now this good of an actress, it's like, holy crap, that's actually impressive. But I bring up how incredibly buff she is because we know She-Hulk is getting a spin-off series. She-Hulk is going to get a Disney Plus series. And this entire time I've been going, how are you going to do that? Are you going to get a skinny actress to play Jen Walters and then a buff actress to play She-Hulk? Are you going to get a skinny actress to play Jen Walters and then just put her face on a CGI body of She-Hulk? Are you going to get a buff actress to play She-Hulk and then put her face like Steve Rogers, Captain America, the First Avenger style on a skinny body? How are you going to do this? Because, She-Hulk isn't like the Hulk where he is bigger than anything could possibly ever be. She-Hulk is just an insanely buff person, but it's like buff to the point where a normal person could get. And that would look weird in CGI, especially considering the fact that a big part of She-Hulk is that she's not like the Hulk where he only becomes the Hulk to fight. She just enjoys being She-Hulk 24/7. So how are you going to do that? I don't know what you're going to do. Gina Carano, like she's there, she's working for Disney, she's still insanely buff. Yeah. I don't know if you want to hire a different actress to play her as Jen Walters. I don't know if you want to do the CGI face, but do not do the CGI She-Hulk body. Get Gina Carano. Like, that's your job. That's it. It's lined up perfectly for you. She's literally in the lot. You have her phone number. So yeah, it works perfectly. That's the dream casting right there. But yeah, I thought that she was great. I love that entire episode was just a combination between the old Western trope of gunslinger rolling into town. There's a bunch of bandits in there making things rough for the young widow. But it was also clearly Seven Samurai. And I love at the end of this, it's Seven Samurai. At the end of this, it's I'm getting all the people that I know that I've met across my journey, bringing them all together. By the way, that's something that we didn't bring up about the final episode. The fact that Nick Nolte's character dies. And I love that, man, I love that this show, it makes the jokes about the stormtroopers not being able to aim, but then they're still like, yeah, but we get really close to you, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, they took out Nick Nolte's character, and man, that was heartbreaking. Because when you get his backstory, like, again, another great example of how you don't give us too much on the character to make it just seem like, well, we're hijacking this show now, but you give us enough to let us know this is a character with a backstory because you want to make this universe feel alive. Like, there are people out there. And earlier on, when he first met this character, and he said, you could come with me. I could always use your help. And he goes, I've done my time fighting. I worked hard to earn my peace, and now you brought peace back to my village. That's all I need. Like, this is all I want, just my time with peace. And he gets called back in there one last time, but he gets called back in there because he finds out that it's the Empire guys. Like, even though it's not the Empire anymore, it's the assholes who split off from the Empire when the Empire fell. He has that personal vendetta to go back in there and do something about that. And he gets that little bit of explanation of how, yeah, I did work for the Empire, but not of my own free will. I was basically a slave that they were just dragging around. And it makes him, it makes it so much more heartbreaking what ends up happening to him, because this guy, not only did he do bad things, but I mean, he was a slave. If anybody out there has earned some peace, it's the guy who lost his freedom so that he could be forced to do terrible things, and then now finally he is free. He's done with all that. And yeah, it's heartbreaking that happened to him, but in a weird way, that final shot of his grave that they built for him, it is a now you're finally free kind of moment. Yeah, I think
literally rest in peace.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, man, it's heartbreaking, but at the same time, it makes you go, yeah, you don't have to worry about this anymore, man. You're going on in those greener pastures. You're one with the Force or whatever non-Force wielders join in this universe. Well, I never actually thought about that, but what do non-Force believers believe in this universe? Like, yeah, the Jedi, when you die, you join the Force. Like, we know that. We've seen the Force Ghost. Does everyone join the Force? And only the Jedi can actually form into Force Ghosts? Or is there, like, actually, like, a religion in this universe? Like, is there an idea of heaven and hell? Like, I'm curious now. But yeah, so I love that episode 4 in there. Episode 5, again, that's another classic Western trope. It's the old gunslinger meets the young gunslinger who thinks he can do it better. And also, again, you want to talk about characters who they've got backstory that can be fleshed out in books and stuff. The assassin they're hunting down, again, the assassin, total badass, but then end up like hijacking the show by going, oh, here's this thing. Now, now it's my show. Not what it was at all. Instead, it was, they're a major badass, and they've done some really dark things. And we all buy into that because they're wanted for a huge bounty. That's all you need. Wanted for a huge bounty. You don't need any more explanation to make me go, oh, why are they wanted for that huge bounty? What else did they do? I want to know more about this. And then going into the final episode, which, man, you want to talk about things that are going to come back in the next season? Which, by the way, I'm skimming through these things quick, so if there's anything that you want to add to each of these episodes, just let me know. Hello, dog. Yes. Good cold wet nose. Gotta take a puppy pet break. There you go. Yes. Alright, sorry. I also had to rest my voice. So yeah, going into the final of these little like one-off episodes is the one where he meets his old pal, which of course that's an obvious story that you could tell there about what they did back in the old days. But the thing that I'm more interested in is this gang, and at the end of this, by the way, I keep mentioning how every single one of these episodes is supposed to show off a different side of the Mandalorian. The episode where he goes in there to rescue the town, it's the side that shows like, yeah, I've still got a heart. I've still got a heart being in this cold machine of mine, which we already knew that because he was taking care of
Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda. But you could also tell that was kind of because of personal connection. That was because he went, oh, I'm not going to kill a child because now I'm remembering what it was like when I was a child in this very similar situation. And he even rescues Baby Yoda, and at the end it goes, yeah, because a Mandalorian rescued you, so you're kind of paying it forward. Sorry, I'm blanking here. But in that episode, in the episode where he rescues the town, it shows he also still has a heart beyond just things that are immediately close to himself. The next episode after that, it was showing the experience hunter. It was showing, yeah, I've been around. I know some stuff. This episode was the one going, okay, you saw that episode where I had the heart? This is the one that shows you that I am a badass who's been around and I've done some dark things. I'm meeting the people who know about the dark things I've done. They know about my past. And when it comes time to take them out, I'm going to take them out. But at the end, it's revealed that they're all still alive.
Yeah, but he trapped them in a prison.
He trapped them in that prison, but I love that. At first, I was like, it's kind of you, like, copying out a little bit because you were making it look like he was, like, this was the episode where you come in here and you prove all over again, I'm that cold-blooded killer that's been hunting people down this entire time. But having them still be alive, it's like, well, I guess you're not really that cold-blooded killer. But then it hit me, oh, season 2, you're not going to introduce all these crazy characters from his past with all this dark backstory behind them, and each of them with their own unique, very marketable designs, and then not bring them back for revenge.
It's like, also I like that he spared their lives because it's like his way of like, it's like showing us that he has matured.
It is showing us that he's matured. However, he did then blow up all the other people there when he put that tracking beacon, which, again, that to me...
Although, to be fair, they were going to kill him, and
Yeah.
he knew that, so that's why he kind of...
It's one of those things in which it lets you know that he has matured because he will not kill these people if he doesn't have to. Oh, it's me or them? Oh, them.
Yeah.
One, like, not even close. Them. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that. They were able to, like, find that balance in there.
Yeah, if it's a kill or be killed situation, he will kill. If it's not in that situation, he'll spare lives.
That is the way.
That is the way.
Yes. Man, I saw that all over Twitter, too. Which, that is a good catchphrase. By the way, I mentioned that, yeah, those characters that popped up in episode 6, they've got very marketable designs. And by that, I mean they're very distinct designs that you can look at and go, oh, yeah, those are characters that I can see people, like, forming attachments to. I can see people drawing them into the comics, making action figures of them. This is something that we have to bring up. Baby Yoda is the most beloved thing in 2019. Everybody is freaking out over Baby Yoda. There is no merchandise for Baby Yoda. And
Well, there kind of is. He's like on t-shirts, but I don't...
Not official. There's no official t-shirts.
Not official t-shirts, but...
Yeah, listen, there will always be some jackass out there on TeePublic who steals someone else's art style or design and just slaps on a shirt and goes, I make money off this now, right? Yeah. No, he's not on anything official. There's no toys, no pop figures, no nothing. And I love that because, A, it lets me know that Disney is willing to back off every now and again and go, oh, you guys just want to do this for, like, artistic reasons and not just to make money? Cool. Like, it makes me look at them and go, oh, you're not the Ewoks. Baby Yoda is not the Ewok coming in here just because, like, oh, cute cuddly thing, I can make money off this. But I look at it and go, no, you had a story to tell. That was actually important, and Baby Yoda was important in that. But also, it lets me know that Disney is being smart about how they market this stuff, because when it comes to things like action figures or pop figures or t-shirts, that stuff gets advertised 3 months before it gets sold in stores. Meaning, if they wanted to advertise this, it would have been everywhere. We would have gone, like, there would have been no surprises, no nothing this season. Because we would have all seen the advertisements for this. We would have, walked into a store, and before this series even started, we would have gone, what's a Baby Yoda? Why is
Yoda as a baby? Huh?
What even is this? What is this thing? Yeah, it would have spoiled all the surprises. So I love that you can look at this and just go, this was not something that they put in here just to be marketable. They put it in here because it was actually important to the story. And also, I'm glad that even after they put something in here just to be part of the story, Disney looked at it and went, all right, let's do the smart thing. and not come in here and spoil it for everyone. Because don't get me wrong, we're gonna get those action figures.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna get those.
Eventually, we will.
It's all gonna there's gonna be plush baby Yodas coming quick. They're coming soon. But I love that Disney went, we will wait so that we don't spoil the show. That's great. I love that. Like the fact that there is not a pop figure out there of Gus from Breaking Bad holding the Darksaber. Great. I'm so glad they did that. I'm so glad that they did not come in here and spoil all that stuff. As I said, it will come out, but I'm glad they decided to wait on it. Which that's not even the first time this year that Disney did that. Because when it comes to Avengers Endgame, I remember there was a pop figure that they were selling long before the movie came out, and I remember seeing articles on this going, spoilers, pop figures have spoiled everything. Here's the spoilers for Avengers Endgame. And I tried to avoid it, but yeah, it popped up on my Twitter feed at one point, and it was a pop figure. In the beginning of the movie, Bruce Banner can't get the Hulk to come out, so he's piloting the Hulkbuster armor. There was a pop figure of the Hulk bursting out of the Hulkbuster armor. I went, well, there's the big scene in the movie. There's the big scene where Bruce Banner gets the Hulk to come back together again. That scene is nowhere in the movie. You know what is in the movie? Professor Hulk. You know what we didn't get a pop figure of? Professor Hulk. I'm so glad that Disney was smart about that. So smart. But yeah, okay, so I think we've talked about everything this season.
Yeah.
I believe so. I can't keep talking.
Yeah.
Sorry. And if there's anything that we forgot, I apologize, but like I said, this is the second time we've recorded this review. I probably mentioned it in the first review and just forgot. But let's go into talking about like next season, because like I said, those guys locked up in the jail cell, they're coming back. Mm-hmm. They want revenge.
Yes.
And I can't wait to see them come back. Which, by the way, Bill freaking Burr is like, when I saw Bill Burr was going to be in this season, I thought, okay, he's going to be there as like a cameo, like what Jason Sudeikis was.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was going to be a main character. That was so shocking. But, so we're going to get that, but also we're going to have the Mandalorian now raising Baby Yoda, which is kind of weird because they mentioned that Baby Yoda is 50 years old, and the blacksmith was saying, now you have to raise him. Like, you're gonna be like 70 some odd years old before
like,
this thing.
Eventually it's gonna have to find someone to like give Baby Yoda to, because I don't think
is just gonna be a hot potato if you just pass nothing along. Yeah, which I mentioned this when we were talking about those first couple of episodes. Does that mean that in the current timeline, like where we are in like the new trilogy, that Baby Yoda is maybe like the equivalent of a 4-year-old or something? Like, he can walk and talk at this point, but he's still just a little kid. And yeah, what's gonna happen to that guy? Because if these things live to be like 5,000 years old or something, how freaking long is it going to take for his journey to be done if he survives? That's the other question. Is that the reason why this isn't really even a question? Is Baby Yoda even going to make it through the next season? Because there's a theory that's going around. Because there is that moment in episode 7 where they are arm wrestling, and then Baby Yoda is like, oh, Mando's about to lose? Force choke.
Like, I thought he was gonna, like,
push the arm.
Yeah.
Everybody thought that. So that was the big surprise in that episode of, oh, yeah, no, he's not going to help Mando cheat by pushing the arm a little bit. He just starts trying to murder Gina Carano, and is like, oh, no. And then it makes you realize, oh, this kid has seen nothing but death. Mm-hmm. It is very short lifespan.
Yeah, like whenever I've watched this show, like every time, like they always just cut to Baby Yoda, like watching like all this like manslaughter and explosions and fights, and he's like,
oh, at the end of this thing, you've got the droid on a motorcycle just blasting people down, and it cuts to Baby Yoda. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Baby Yoda is loving that. Baby Yoda literally kills someone at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. The stormtrooper comes in, which granted it was a kill or be killed situation, like what the Mando does, we just mentioned. But he pushed that fire back. He didn't just hold that fire up. He pushed it back and engulfed that stormtrooper and burned him to a crisp. So Baby Yoda has a body count already. Mm-hmm. And it's got a lot of people saying, okay, we're looking at this like he's going to be the next Jedi. Is he going to be the next Sith?
Yeah, I've noticed that too.
Yeah, and that raises questions because, as I said, you got to think, all right, where's Baby Yoda going to end up all these years down the road? maybe he doesn't end up anywhere because there comes that time where the Mandalorian realizes, oh, I gotta take this kid out. Which that would be, man, you want to talk about a dark turn?
Yeah.
Making audiences fall in love with the cutest, cuddliest, meme-generating creature of the decade. And then going, and now we have to shoot in the face. And now his dad has to shoot him in the face. Or
like an old Yeller situation.
Yeah. It really, which, man, again, talking about Western tropes. I kept saying, I pictured that Mandalorian was going to die and Baby Yoda was going to be crying out for him. Oh, swap those two around. Yeah, I'm going to be really interested in seeing what ends up happening with him. But again, he ages so slowly that I'm wondering, is there going to be a time skip? Or, like, is there a thing where, like, yeah, they age slowly at first, but then they start to catch up a little bit, and then they age a little bit quicker.
Or maybe they find another Mandalorian. It's like, this is your...
Just pass it along.
Just pass it along to...
Like I said, hot potato. Oh, man, what if, like, the last episode of the last season of The Mandalorian is an old Mandalorian? Like, for, like, the last season of the show, they skip ahead by 50 years. And now there's just an old Mandalorian. His armor is completely rusted off. He's got, like, a missing leg or something. But he's still got, like, this 5-year-old Baby Yoda. And he realizes, I can't keep doing it, but your journey has to continue. You need someone that can teach you how to do this. And then you meet, like, you know, adult Rey. Like, Rey 5 years after where Rise of Skywalker ends. And, like, we don't get a series of that. We don't get a series, but that's just, like, and that's where that goes. And you fans out there figure it out. Or we'll write a book about, whatever. Because, yeah, I'm just saying... When you think about how many years of trainers Baby Yoda is going to need, and how at the moment in Star Wars, at where we are in this timeline, there's really only like a handful of Jedis left. Yeah, it's gonna have to be probably Rey. I mean, I don't know of anyone else it could be, unless Finn really starts to learn how to use the Force. Which, did you hear that in Rise of Skywalker, when Finn was sinking into the quicksand, and he goes, Rey, I have to tell you something. And then she goes, what were you going to tell me? Not in front of Poe. And then, like, that never comes back. They never say what it is.
So you think he was going to say, like, I know how to use the Force?
J.J. Abrams confirmed that's what he was going to say.
Oh.
which means, oh, so the entire, okay, well, I don't know how I feel about that, because on the one hand, I thought he was going to confess his love to Rey. But then that means that plotline doesn't even get hinted at in the final episode. Alright. So that plotline is just gone? Sure. I don't know.
There are a lot of plotlines that went out the window in Rise of Skywalker.
Here's another possible girlfriend for you, Finn. Yeah. Not talking about that. Not talking about that.
No.
We're talking about good Star Wars. We're talking about stuff that everybody agrees is good. So yeah, I freaking love The Mandalorian. I can't wait to see what else comes. And also... Yeah. I can't wait to see what else comes from Disney+. When we signed up for Disney+, I was like, yeah, okay, the Marvel stuff is coming, I'm interested in that, but I don't know how that's going to translate into shows all that well. I mean, we'll see how it works out, but even if not, you know, I'll enjoy the Disney back catalog for a while. Oh my God, after this was the perfect thing to kick off Disney Plus was, because now I'm interested in everything that's coming from it. But any final thoughts? I know I kind of dominated this. Mostly because I was trying to get through everything that we said in the previous review.
You pretty much said everything you've already said before and covered everything I've already said. Like, you pretty much did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I need to go and just inhale a giant mountain of throat lozenges. So you guys enjoy The Mandalorian if you haven't seen it before. Why do you watch this episode? Why do you watch this review? That was a weird review. You know, Mandalorian's pretty good. You guys should check it out. But yeah, thank you guys very much for tuning in. Starting next week, we are going to start our annual Quest for the Best and Gauntlet of Garbage, where we go back and we look at some of the best films of last year and some of the worst films of last year. So make sure that you tune in for that. Even though we all know the one that you're actually going to tune in for. Bye, everybody.
Bye.